Good afternoon and welcome to CCN Midday News, The Rundown. I am your host, Captivating Christian, and here are some of your top stories for today, the 23rd of July. Two brothers and a woman are arrested for a massacre of the three best friends over a truck deal gone wrong after following them to a remote fishing spot and shooting each of them multiple times. An outbreak at an Iowa pork plant was larger than the state reported. Trump's acting Homeland Security Secretary just made a damaging admission on Fox News. China vows retaliation after U.S. orders its Houston consulate closed within 72 hours. Bill Barr could face the Bar Association probe after complaints details his abuse of office. And Betsy DeVos just crossed another line. She's an ongoing danger to teachers and students. Civil rights icon Charles Evers, brother of Medgar Evers, dies at the age of 87. Let's get to the news. A Florida man with 230 felonies, his girlfriend and brother have been charged in a triple murder of best friends massacred on their way to a nighttime fishing spot. TJ Tony Wiggins, age 26, his girlfriend Mary Whitmore, age 27, and his brother Robert Wiggins, age 21, each have been charged over the deaths of Damian Tillman, age 23, Kevin Springfield, age 30, and Brandon Rollins, age 27, in Frost Proof on Friday. In a detailed account of what the police believe happened in Polk County, Sheriff Grady Judd said that all three suspects are said to have followed their victims after overhearing their fishing plans from Tillman in a local Dollar General store on Friday. TJ just wanted to confront Springfield over some kind of truck deal, the sheriff says. Each of the victims were shot a number of times, police say, after TJ and Kevin asked, "Where is my truck? You sold the engine out of my truck." Springfield said to that reply, "I don't know what you're talking about." All three are arrested in the connection with the deaths were found living off the grid in two travel trailers on Monday. The police say they found two SKS rifles, two Mossberg shotguns, and ammunition for both in a gun safe belonging to TJ Wiggins in one of the trailers. TJ Wiggins has been charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. Robert Wiggins with 3 counts of accessory to murder and tampering with evidence. Whitmore, 3 counts of accessory to murder, says the sheriff. TJ Wiggins, this is evil in the flesh. Once again, here is your just straight commentary about what I feel about these stories for this afternoon. So the first story we have that unfortunate massacre of those 3 friends who were going for a late night fishing expedition and were murdered by 3 people. The report says that it was a truck deal gone wrong. They purchased a truck from this individual allegedly, and from one of the individuals allegedly, and there was no engine in the actual truck, or the engine was missing. Excuse me. The engine was missing, or something to that effect. Don't know how accurate it is because, of course, as I read in the story, when he was when one of the victims was confronted about it, he didn't know what the actual perpetrator was talking about. So we don't know at this time how true the story is, but we do know that those 3 individuals the one TJ, Tony TJ, he did murder those three individuals, and the other two, as long as his brother and girlfriend, were accomplices to the murder. This is real unfortunate. I am glad that the perpetrators have been found. For a minute, I was a little worried and a little suspect, thinking that they were going to try and spin this and say, that they were murdered by people of color, but it turns out that they were white people. Now, the true motive of this heinous murder, who knows? I just think it's heartbreaking. The part that is really heartbreaking is that he was able to call his father minutes before he died. His father came to him and actually watched his son slip away. The other two were already dead by the time the father had got there. So those lasting images must be pretty hard for the father to deal with. But like I said, I am glad that justice has been served, at least to the point where the people are off the streets and behind bars. Now it's just, going to trial and convicting them as far as sentencing is concerned is the next step. But, that's just really sad to have any life cut short like that. And the heinous way it was done is really sad. But real quick, can we just talk about how this man had 30 felonies? Now, the privilege is real. There would be no person on earth of color with 230 felonies and not be behind bars right now, serving like an 80 to a double life sentence. That's all I'm saying. The fact that this man had those many felonies and still able to walk around freely lets you know how corrupt the system is and weighted to one side. That's all. The first confirmed coronavirus outbreak in an Iowa meatpacking plant was far more severe than previously known, with more than twice as many workers becoming infected than the State Department of Public Health told the public in a newly released record. The department announced at a May 5th news conference that 221 employees of the Tyson's Food Pork Processing plant in Columbus Junction had tested positive for COVID-19. But days earlier, Tyson officials told the Iowa Workplace Safety Regulator during an inspection that actually 522 plant employees have been infected to their knowledge. A dozen of plants, roughly 1,300 workers were believed to have been hospitalized by then, and 2 died after contracting the virus. Tyson officials told the Iowa Occupational Safety and Health Administration. The agency also faced criticism for seeking to change and charge thousands of dollars for the open record request and for routinely announcing outbreaks in the workplace, among other things. The department said that it had gone above and beyond to provide up-to-date and comprehensive information to the public. In early May and April, outbreaks in Columbus Junction was the first of several meatpacking plants across the state as the virus spread throughout the workplaces. Governor Kim Reynolds told the pro-industry approach is managing these outbreaks in Iowa, the top pork producing state. She worked with executives to continue production even as thousands of workers became infected and some died. She applauded President Donald Trump's order to keep such plants open throughout the country. This story basically is disheartening as well. Shows the level of not even the level, the lack of respect for the average worker, the same average worker that the Trump administration and many that follow him tout that he is about. That you had a plant that had large amount of its employees contracting coronavirus, and they lied to keep the numbers down. Even so, to an extent that people in the plant was hospitalized for having corona, and they still kept the plant open. It's That's just disgusting. And not only that, then now you're infecting from the meatpacking plant, you're infecting their families, they're infecting other people by still working over the meat if they happen to be sick or anything of that nature. Then that's going to our local supermarket and places where we purchase these meat products and everything. So it's a total clusterfuck that makes no sense, to the point where the dollar is so important that you would risk the lives of the workers just to get that across. And for the governor to tote that and be proud of people dying. It wouldn't matter if it was just 2 people. The fact that people are dying and you are willing to risk their lives just so you can look good or tote praise on someone or be praised for something is really ridiculous. I mean, this is beyond human decency. This is a place of total greed, lack of empathy and sympathy, and constantly getting your vote. When will these people in these particular states wake up that these people that act like they care the most about you and your needs and grievances, they really don't. They just care about what money you can make them, and that's all they're concerned about. Appearing on Fox News Tuesday night, the acting Homeland Security Secretary Chad Wolf, who had been confirmed to his position by the Senate, made a damaging admission about his department's conduct in Portland. Federal officials in Portland have prompted a fierce backlash for aggressive and illegal tactics against protesters in the city. Local officials have demanded that the federal officials, some of them using unmasked vehicles and wearing camouflage without identification insignias, leave and let police handle law enforcement. President Donald Trump and Wolf seem intent on using the Homeland Security forces to intimidate, rough up, and apprehend protesters to make the federal government appear tough. Some could argue that this is unfair reading of Wolf's remarks because his remarks referred to people who commit crimes, such as assaulting federal officers. The problem is that there have been multiple incidences of federal officers sweeping people off the streets despite no clear evidence or reason to believe that they were involved in a crime. Every day we seem to wake up, it looks like we're more and more walking into a dictatorship. The acting Homeland Security Secretary basically dropped a bombshell, which I mean to some I guess would be a bombshell, but he said that he knows that they are violating the Constitution. However, their reason for violating the Constitution is to maintain order. So they have every right to violate the people's rights in order to maintain order. However, how are you maintaining order when you're snatching up peaceful protesters? Now, I could see if it was some sort of violent situation going on, but it is not. Furthermore than that, then leave it up to the local law enforcement to do so. Why do you need to then bring Homeland Security officers, some border patrol officers, some other classified military officers, all these people, cover them in camouflage and no um, information badges where they can be reported or anything, and just snatching people up. That part is where we start going into a dictatorship, totalitarianism, a whole bunch of other things that, we only read and watch about on other, in other countries. But to have it happen here, we are slowly seeing the decline, and probably even rapidly seeing the decline of our democracy into, again, another avenue that we're not accustomed to, aware of. And that's another reason why I say that another 4 years of this, we'll be looking at fascism straight on and in the face. Because this is when it starts to get really ugly and disgusting. When you know that you're violating constitutional norms, the law, period, and your guise is to maintain order. I'm sure if we were to go back and rewind history, you could ask Adolf Hitler the same thing, and he would probably tell you, yeah, he did it to maintain order, or for whatever reason. So it's, for that to always be the excuse for the reason why people are protesting against police brutality and the mistreatment of people of color, and then you reinforce that message with your police presence, your military, your secret military presence. To be known, you don't care anything about what people are going through. Your main concern is to make sure you feel safe, and when you all feel safe, then that's all that matters. And again, that's making sure white comfortability is safe. Your white fragility is safe. And at that point, that as long as that's safe, doesn't matter how many lives are lost, how many people are put in secret jails, somewhere locked away somewhere that nobody knows where they could possibly be, or what kind of crimes are being committed to these people. So that's the part where we really need to be paying attention, because it is happening. China vowed to retaliate Wednesday after the United States ordered the closure of its consulate in Houston, a move that would further inflame the tensions between the two superpowers. A spokesperson for China's foreign minister said that China was notified on Tuesday that it would have to close the consulate within 72 hours. In a regular news briefing, he described the action as unprecedented escalation, and said China would react with firm countermeasures if the United States does not revoke the decision. The State Department spokesperson said in a statement that the closure was to protect American intelligence property and American private information. The U.S. will not tolerate the People's Republic of China violating our sovereignty and intimidation of our people. It's usually, but not unprecedented, for the United States to close another country's consulate. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo declined to explain what triggered the decision when pressed on the matter during a news briefing in Copenhagen, where he was meeting with the Dutch officials. But he raised long-standing U.S. accusations that China's government steals American intelligence property. He also brought up that the Department of Justice, indictment Tuesday of 2 Chinese hackers charged with stealing trade secrets from hundreds of global targets and probing vulnerabilities in the United States companies involving the development of a COVID-19 treatment and vaccine. Pompeo did not elaborate, however, on the allegations of spying on treatment and vaccines. Whether the closure of the Houston consulate had anything to do with the case or not is unclear. this commentary right here, I just need us all to be very, very, very diligent and mindful and pay attention to the signs. So, okay, they have closed the consulate, the Chinese consulate in Houston, right? They say it was amidst of the Chinese government stealing secrets and COVID-19 vaccine information and so on and so forth. However, I think it's something else to play with too. I think they put that out there, but they're doing this because their next step is to then accuse China of meddling in the 2020 election. And that will be their go-to to undermine the actual election if, in fact, Trump does get defeated in November. I think Mike Pompeo is in on it. It's an all go. First, you have to look like the Chinese are up to something nefarious, so you close down their consulate, so you do all this kind of stuff. The next watch is going to be the election. It's going to be they interfered with the election, they did this, so the voting is not legitimate, and he will remain the president. I feel it. Only because now, just months ago, if you all remember, China and President Trump were the best of friends, and the Chinese president was always at Mar-a-Lago. Ivanka Trump was able to get all these marketing licenses for her products. I mean, they got all this business from the Chinese. Now all of a sudden, they're stealing and they're spying and stealing secrets. I think it's all BS. I think it's just set up so they can use the Chinese as the scapegoat to say that they have interfered with the election on 2020 and that Joe Biden didn't win because the Chinese helped. I think it's all a setup. But let me know what you think. On Wednesday, Politico reported that 27 prominent D.C. attorneys, including 4 former presidents of the D.C. Bar Association, have signed a complaint calling for the Barr investigation of Attorney General William Barr. The complaint urges that Barr has broken Washington's ethics rules by being dishonest and violating his oath to uphold the Constitution, along with other charges. Mr. Barr has consistently made decisions and taken actions to serve the personal and political self-interest of President Donald Trump rather than the interests of the United States. Okay, this will be a newsflash to some people, but Bill Barr lied. Bill Barr lied in his Senate confirmation hearing, and he was able to lie because, of course, the Republicans have control of the Senate. So there was no one on the Senate side that was going to check him, even if he did lie that he was not going to abide by the president and be a personal fixer or lawyer for the president and uphold the Constitution. He has not done so. Everything Trump wanted him to do, he has done. Every underhanded, secret thing that Trump was trying to do or has done, he has made sure legally that Trump is able to do so, even skating around the truth and not being forthcoming, even trying to run the Mueller report out before the actual report was completed and finished, and having some things redacted and all kinds of craziness. Barr has always been, from his inception into this Trump administration, a Trump loyalist, a cover-up, a fixer for Donald Trump. So at this point, with all of the Bar Association people kind of going, what is this going on? Okay, he's been doing it, and he will continue to do it because there's no one in the Senate that will check him as far as the things he have, done thus far in violating the Constitution, because of course the Senate has control. The Republican Party has control of the Senate. So, in the words of was it Sheree Whitfield, who's gonna check me, boo? And that's just what Bill Barr is saying to the rest of Congress and the rest of America. Okay, yeah, I lied. Yeah, I've been doing this for the president, but who's gonna check me, boo? And who's gonna check him? Because no one has. So this will be interesting to see what the people do as far as the Bar Association if they disbar him. Because if they disbar him, he could still hold his office. So I don't really know what. I guess maybe to bring attention to the fact that he's been lying and covering up for the president. As much of the country experiences the alarming surge in COVID-19 cases, Education Secretary Betsy DeVos is carrying the water for Donald Trump by demanding states reopen their schools after the summer break. She makes this demand with no sense of how schools can do this safely. But just beneath her disregard for public health is the shocking ignorance about the fundamental nature of authority over public schools in this country. The secretary assumes that she has the power and wants to run over those who do. In fact, shortly after making the demand, the governors of South Carolina, Iowa, and Florida bowed to her assertion of authority, much to the dismay of educators in those particular states. DeVos' blanket demand that schools open is dangerous in its complete lack of consideration for students and teacher safety. She dismisses the risk of spreading COVID-19 among students, teachers, and staff in school buildings. She offers no guidelines or standards on what measures are necessary to allow for a safe return to the classroom. She refuses to say schools should follow guidelines from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, or acknowledge that schools will need to close and return to remote learning in the event of an outbreak. All right, so this story is very disheartening because here you have education secretary who is talking the same mess as the president, demanding that schools be reopened at the end of this summer break and the children go back to school. There's no clear thing about testing children, students, and testing students, teachers, and staff. Nothing about cleaning or sanitizing the schools, anything of that nature. Everything is just the kids need to get back to school. But the funny thing is, are the private schools opening back up, or are they doing learning from home? Like what are the high elite schools that Miss DeVos is paying, or her grandchildren, or whomever? What about the private schools that they attend? Will they be attending school, or will they be doing learning from remote places? So it's almost like a modern day genocide or something. Like, if you know a pandemic is upon us, clearly, why would you be such in a rush to have children go back to school and infect others or get infected from others? I think those of you who are parents, I think you should do how you feel is best. I do believe that you definitely need to safeguard your children, because if you don't, they're sure not going to. Their main thing is to get your child back into a classroom that they don't even know themselves is safe enough for any human occupancy. They don't care. And that's the bottom line. So I think you need to safeguard your children the best way you can. And if that means teaching from home or kind of finding an alternative, maybe some of us who are educators Hey, you can start an online kind of Zoom kind of classroom or something. We got to find new inventive ways, because this administration is trying to kill folks by any means, okay? Trying to kill folks, or at least limit their abilities to do certain things, because this is crazy. There's no way you can sit there and say that you're for children, and the first thing you want to do is send these children like to the slaughter by exposing them to this virus in the way in which this administration is pushing for. It's absolutely ridiculous. And even, let me add before I close, even the president's youngest son, they asked him about how does he feel about him going back to school. He's going to talk about, oh, that's a private decision. So basically you're saying you're not going to send your own child back to school, but you would rather have children you don't care about. They could go back to school because you don't care nothing about them. It's ridiculous. Like, come on, people, get with me. Protect yourselves, your children, and your families. They're not going to protect them for you. Civil rights icon Charles Evers, the first black elected mayor of a Mississippi city and brother of Medgar Evers, has died at the age of 97. Evers became the first black mayor of a Mississippi town or city since Reconstruction, when he was elected mayor of Fayette back in 1969. Evers died on Wednesday surrounded by his family at his Rankin County home. Evers has always followed the beat of his own drum. In his 1971 autobiography, Evers outlines how he was a gun-toting bootlegger and numbers runner and a pimp in Chicago before coming back to Mississippi after his brother was assassinated back in June of 1963. Charles Evers came back and assumed the role of the state NAACP field secretary, the position that his late brother held. Charles led marches, boycotts, and other civil rights activities. After losing the U.S. Senate race back in 1978, Evers switched to the Republican Party 2 years later and made news that year when he endorsed Republican Ronald Reagan for president. Evers, one of the most colorful characters in state's history, has worked over several decades to keep his brother's memory alive. He was the owner of the WMPR radio station in Jackson. Once again, unfortunately, here to report some sad news. We lost another civil rights icon. Charles Evers, the brother of Medgar Evers, has died at the age of 97. In this commentary, his life is a prime example of, one, not letting your past dictate your future, and two, we don't have to be pigeonholed to a particular party. As long as you get active and get involved, you can be a part of whatever party you choose, as long as, I guess, the core values of that party speaks to you. His life is a testament of that. He was doing all kinds of stuff in other places, pimping and running numbers and all kinds of stuff. His brother was assassinated, of course, in June, and he went back to Mississippi to continue the work that his brother started, and that's true dedication and love. I was introduced to him as a young man, actually watching that autopsy show that used to come on HBO. I forgot the name of it. I think Voices of the Dead or Speaking Dead, but it's the famous pathologist, the white man with the mustache and stuff, Michael something. I can't think of his name. But anyway, because this is just commentary, we're just talking. They did an episode where they had exhumed Medgar Evers' body and to re-examine how he was assassinated and so on and so forth. And he said when he opened the casket, he had called two people. He called his son and he called the brother. He called the son because the son was young when his father was assassinated, so he never met his father. But so he had spoken to the son previously and said, well, once I open the casket and see the condition of the body, I will, let you know or call you, if anything, because he'd never seen his father other than pictures. However, the body was exhumed. They opened the casket, and to his surprise, the corpse was completely intact, face and everything. There was nothing wrong or missing. Like, you could fully see Medgar Evers' face and all that. So he called his son and his brother to view his son and his brother. They got to view him, and that was when I was introduced to Charles Evers. But throughout the years, I have done research on him and read about him, and he definitely ran the beat of his own drum. He was not a yes sir kind of person, or just going along to get along. If he felt like something wasn't right, it just wasn't right. He championed for Ronald Reagan for his own reasons. He had his own thoughts and concerns and feelings where he championed Ronald Reagan, unlike a lot of his predecessors and counterparts who did not. So that's all. That's really all I wanted to say is, you have to make the choices that best suit you, but you still have to make a choice. You cannot just sit back and allow things to happen. You have to be the change that you want to see. So if you want change in whatever direction, you have to be that change. So with that said, rest in peace to Charles Evers, a great civil rights icon. He will be missed. Once again, thank you for watching CCN Midday News. Hope you enjoyed. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also hit that notification button so you will never miss another news update. Have a great day. Peace.